it was there. We're Art Sluts.
Anyway,
Okay.
Hey,
there we go.
welcome
Finally,
to the Art
to
Sluts.
the Art Sluts.
We're the Art
podcast.
Radio.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Because we're Art Sluts.
Whoa, man, you're host engineer, so maybe one of y'all could be the host on the next one and avoid
Sure, I can try.
my faux pas.
No, I think it's good.
So, anyway, we were talking about Kenny Green and the bar next to the sub shop, and then Chautauqua Center. I did taught tarot at the Chautauqua Center for.
We should introduce ourselves
Yeah.
again.
What's
Oh
your
yes,
name?
we should. You're right. My name's Ann Wood.
I'm Pam Doherty.
I'm Teri Chalky, and we're the
Okay.
people that remain from the Art Sluts.
and
Which is a punk
Sheila
rock.
Brunelson is here in spirit.
Spirit. She
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
She's enjoying herself for sure.
And so the Art
Yes.
Sluts was an all-woman punk rock band in the 80s, basically from 84 to 86, in Columbia, Missouri, in the middle of a punk rock
Yeah.
DIY scene that happened almost a decade before the Guerrilla Girls scene.
Absolutely.
And Evergreen and
right,
Olympia, where I live. I'm right now in Olympia. Right. Now.
And I'm in Atlanta.
Now, do you characterize us as punk rock? Because
I was going to say performance art.
I always thought of us as a performance art band because
No,
we
look,
had elements of that, but
Yeah, we
I
had
don't
punk
think
though too.
yeah, we did. But I
It-
thought we were
it's-
more than punk rock.
Well, first of all, DIY, you get to self-define, right? Identity
True,
politics.
true, yeah.
You get to choose, and whatever comes out of your mouth about who you are, that's who you are, right? But one of the things I definitely wanted to bring up today is I just finished rereading for the second time this Assuming the Ecosexual Position by Annie Sprinkle and Beth Stevens. And what they talk about is that they're a part of the Fluxus art movement, which is, a European art movement that Yoko Ono was part of that, Carolee Schneemann was part of that, and we're clearly historically embedded in that kind of a particular kind of feminist body
Yes,
art, performance
yes,
art
yes.
thing.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Right? And that what we were doing had no precedent in the culture that we were in. Like, right?
And don't forget Yayoi Kusama, who also did like nude performance art and painting on her body in like 1960.
Right. But like us, and so that was in Carolee Schneemann, the Meat Joy stuff happened in 62, 64. But, American artists have always been America as a culture has been very inhospitable to, well, so misogynist, right? But women using their bodies as part of the art. So the way that we cut our hair, the way that we, did all those costume changes, all of that.
Yep.
So definitely saw ourselves as the site of art.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the Fluxus movement is about that. It's about your life being an offering of art, your whole life, the whole thing. Yeah.
So we were talking a few minutes ago before we pushed the record button about take 3 about like how we met each other and what what was influencing us back then. Teri, I hesitate to ask you a third time, but I would love to hear your story about
please,
Stevens.
Okay. I'm from the west side of Cleveland, Ohio, but I need to get away from my family of origin and all that scene, so I got a scholarship to Columbia, Missouri, and I went to this fancy, my papa called it a rich bitch school. I went to Stevens College, which is a private women's school, and there were 3 professors there, Wally Wells, Dr. James Whitehall, 2 other guys I can't remember right now, and but I will get my notes. Anyway, they had created, I went to school because I wanted to be a talk show host like David Letterman.
Oh, really?
Let's take a listen to my song, David Letterman.
I know that a lot of people have, kind of heroes or superstars in the media, and I have one too. I know it's kind of silly, but my hero is David Letterman, and I wrote this song for him, and someday he'll hear it and he'll want to marry me. He will.
Yeah, Teri.
He will.
I
want a talk show of my very own. I want to laugh at all my guests. I Letterman. Even when I was a little girl, David, you were an excuse to stay up late. I watch all the stupid pet tricks. I snack on Mr. Larry's toast sticks. And David, I'm in love with the space between your two front teeth. I want a TV show of my very own. I want to laugh at my own jokes. I want fan mail from around the world. I want to be like David Letterman. Whenever I get depressed about nuclear waste or my love life, or the government, or the imminent apocalypse, all I gotta do is turn on the tube. And David, you're there with your perfect smile. You keep me from feeling blue. I want a talk show of my very own. I want to laugh at all my guests. I want a band that will tell stupid jokes. I want to be like David Letterman. I remember when you sponsored the Columbia Mud Goat softball team. Well, I moved to Columbia, now I live there. Oh well, I like the way you humiliate people, you're so rude. And the tacky fake New York skyline you sit in front of is so cool. I want a TV show of my very own. I want to laugh at my own jokes. I want fan mail from around the world. I want to be like David Letterman. And you know I like you in Velcro.
Oh, David.
All those famous people on your show. Like Laurie Anderson.
And David Byrne.
Stevie Wonder,
Bob
Herman,
Dylan.
Tom Waits.
Peter Tosh.
Allen Ginsberg.
Well, I just wanna be like them and sit next to you on the show. I want a talk show of my very own and get paid for having fun. I want the Art Sluts to write me a song. I want to be like David Letterman.
Okay. Oh yeah, no, for real.
Wow.
So I was a
Okay.
communications major, but then
Yeah.
I had this work trade working in the collegiate room, which is this little, snack shop where you cooked hamburgers. That's how we met all the guys that we hung out with because they were also working there.
Yeah.
And this guy was down there, Wally Wells, and he would say really loud, masturbation, to get everybody's attention. And we were like, who is that guy, right? So it was like a conversation starter. Now, he was a polyamorist. He taught a class on intentional communities. He was a total wild card.
Yeah.
And actually died of cancer 2 years after I graduated. But he and these other professors created an interdisciplinary degree called human ecology.
Oh my gosh.
So I
it's
studied
amazing.
systems theory, solar panels. We had a beta house that we energy retrofitted with a Zen garden in the back. So it was very, very revolutionary. And the main thing they were teaching us was to think critically. And they were concerned about climate change then. In 1983 is when I graduated. So that education completely changed my world, and I still live by the values and the ideas that I learned then. So it's definitely, even though everybody's like, what did you do with all that money? How are you going to get work? Because I was working at the rag stock in the sub shop after I got a degree,
I forgot, Teri, that you worked at Ragstock too. I forgot about that.
Oh, I have that cute little picture of me with the beanie
That's
on the
right.
phone.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I'm gonna throw my kitty some treats so she'll be quiet.
Okay,
Okay,
show her.
all right,
Show
well-
that pussy some treats. You do it.
That's actually how I met Sheila. Was I applied for the job?
Yeah, you were the
And
assistant manager, right?
I was assistant manager, and we were just troublemakers, as you know.
Yeah.
We just
Well, I
made
remember
our-
all those those beautiful fur coats in
Oh,
a
my
pile
God.
in the back room.
Oh, yes, they were used a couple times.
Our auxiliary shag fest. That was so awesome.
I hadn't thought about that in a while either.
And how we decorated, we separated the clothes by color. So it'd
That's
be
right.
everything red, everything blue, everything in a rainbow.
And that's revolutionary. That's like
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
like current design. We're talking
And it
about
was
Ragstock,
vintage.
Pam.
Were you talking
vintage-
about Sheila's shop?
Yeah,
Ragstock,
vintage
yeah.
clothes. Right? Vintage,
yeah.
beautiful clothes, which I wore all the time.
Yes, me
with
too.
my high heels and my cute little hats and gloves to go dancing at By George's, which we all called Bisexual Jorge's.
By George's.
That's right.
Yes.
But we said we hang out with fags
Right.
and wear our clothes sloppy.
Oh, okay, let's take a listen to the Art Sluts theme song written by all the Art Sluts.
We don't shave our armpits. We don't wash our hair. We like being single. We don't wear underwear. We smoke lots of smacks and drink too much coffee. We hang out with fags and wear our clothes sloppy. 'Cause we're art sluts. Do it for the inspiration, do it for investigation. To find out how they tick, then we found they had a dick. So we fucked it. 'Cause it was there. We're art sluts. We cut our hair really funny. We used dog clippers to save some money. We call our boyfriends. Hey, you, come here. Hey, what's your name again? Instead of honey. We don't really mean to, but we treat them crummy. 'Cause we're art sluts. Do it for the inspiration, do it for investigation. To find out how they tick, then we found they had a dick. So we fucked it. 'Cause it was there. We're art sluts. We go to their band practices and pretend that we care. We stare at their paintings and play with our hair. We try to express our repressed masculinity. We were 15 when we lost our virginity.
Musician, of course. It was boring.
We're art sluts. Do it for the inspiration, do it for investigation. To find out how they tick, then we found they had a dick. So we fucked it. 'Cause it was there. We're art sluts.
I know what size they are, and I saved them really cool clothes from my store.
I find sex very inspirational to my artwork. I really like painting, but I'd rather have it kind of around my toes and up my legs and the back and, well, you know what I mean.
Well, you guys, I still haven't worked out my line yet.
You don't have a... Pam?
This is
You know,
a-
this is
a
a-
demo
you
tape,
guys,
man.
Well, okay, we'll just
cut
forget it.
Cut her some slack.
Yeah,
Let's
you
just
know,
go
this
on.
is, yeah.
Art sluts. Do it for the inspiration, do it for investigation. To find out how they tick, then we found they had a dick. So we fuck them.
Right. And you know, it's interesting when I
Yeah.
was going back to thinking about how I got into this mindset. One of the critical things that happened before I got into music was I was going to school in Indiana, and it was called a Living Learning Center, which was like you had to have traveled to another country, or you had to be studying something unique, and so it was a place where instead of dinner they would have a lecturer come in. Anyway, long story short, my girlfriend and I started dressing up to shock. That was like 1982.
That's what I'm saying, punk rock, right?
And we go downtown, and we go to the gay bar, punk rock bar, drag show. It was like, depending on the time of the evening, the very last thing was drag show. Or no, maybe it was drag show, then punk rock show. And so that was like
This was Indiana, or this was Columbia?
This was Indiana. I was at school there, and then I transferred because I lost my Pell Grant because of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
but hey, it worked out, right? I get to meet you all. So
you went to UMC then? You went to UMC?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your major?
At Indiana, it was Japanese and
that's what I remember.
Religious studies, and then in Columbia, it was English, creative writing, poetry.
All right.
So yeah. And Pam
grew up in Columbia and actually went to Mizzou and moved into a dorm, even though my parents' house was just a couple miles out of town, because I wanted to,
college life,
and hated the dorm experience. And that first, or I guess it was the second year, I joined the Missourians for Safe Energy to try to stop this nuclear power plant from being built in Callaway County. And I met all these very cool hippies that were 10 years older than me, and had the Third Street house.
And that's where you met the anarchists.
Collective, yeah. And so I just quit school and moved into Third Avenue, and that started my trajectory to like working at KOPN, learning about KOPN and all these other things that were going on.
That was the Anarchist Collective?
It's called the Third Avenue Anarchist Collective, and they put out Anarchy, a Journal of Desire Armed. I was very proud of living there.
I still have a copy of that.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, still very radical, cutting-edge thinking.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then how did the three of us meet each other?
Well, I know that it happened because when I was working at Ragstock with Ann and Sheila, after work sometimes we would get high, and that's when we started to make the music in the kitchen.
Every
night.
We're
hanging out.
How did you meet Ann and Sheila?
I got a job at Ragstock. I was working at Ragstock. Okay. And then I met you because I was working at the sub shop. So this is my first one, because Lori and you and I all worked at the sub shop.
So and Lori's at the sub shop too, okay.
Yeah, and then and Angie too, right? Or did Angie work at Ernie's?
Angie worked at Ernie's.
Okay, so we're talking about
Let's
2 blocks.
Go to Ernie's.
Really?
See who slept with who.
Like a block, because the sub shop was across the street from Ernie's.
Right.
And then the bar.
And
what was the name of that bar?
I don't remember the name of the bar, but it was right next to it.
And then Chautauqua Center, was
right
just
down across the street, right? That's where we had our first show.
Yes.
I thought of the other guy's name. So the guys that did the jiu-jitsu training, which I did for summer, it was Kenny Green and Tink. Remember Tink? He was
Tink.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
When I got done with work at Sub Shop, and I would go over to the bar, and Tink would sit down next to me.
So nice.
And I would pour out my troubles to him, and he would give me all these remarkable solutions, because I think he used to be in the armed forces or the military, and so he would give me all this wisdom about sort of like, you have no idea what real trouble
life
is like. And
yeah,
he would always give me advice. He was my therapist.
Working at the sub shop was a big crossover for me, because the boys, Pete Spots, who I still know, you guys, right? He just moved back to Columbia 2 years ago, right? But Pete Spots, Jeff Vander, Miriam Harline, who is now Melanie Henry, all this group of people that were going to school at UMC, but working at the sub shop, right? And then we all took classes on astrology and poetry and channeling at the Chautauqua Center. So that's how we knew each other. And then I had that job for a little while at the city, which I quit to go rescue Pam from Austin, which was hilarious.
I want to take a minute to give Sheila's introduction, if that's okay with y'all.
Yes.
Please. Yeah.
Okay, so for sure, I think we all agree that the Art Sluts would not have happened if it weren't for Sheila.
Absolutely.
I think Pam mentioned would you tell the story the first time you saw her?
Oh, just I was at Ernie's and she walked in the door and I just remember just dropping everything and just staring at her because she just had this profound physical beauty. Well, not just physical, but just
spiritual.
She was just stunning. And I remember at a certain point realizing I wasn't the only one in Ernie's staring at her. Everyone was. And a lot of people actually knew her, but she just very quietly went and sat at the counter on a stool and ordered some coffee and wasn't really actually chatting anyone up. But I just remember that was my first impression, was that I couldn't ever remember seeing anyone as beautiful. And I know that's subjective, but... And then to find out she was like a car mechanic.
Let's take a listen to Sheila's a Mechanical Genius.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Will you sing to the microphone?
Hi, Mom and Dad. I'll sing about Sheila to you.
Okay.
But is the tape deck on?
Yeah, it's on now.
Well, this tape deck isn't like my tape deck, but you see, I've got this tape deck that is really bizarre. It's like when you push the rewind button, it pops out just like a toaster. And I've got this toaster, and it's really strange too. When you cook the toast, it makes it black, and it's really weird, isn't it, Sheila? It doesn't pop up. Yeah, it's bizarre. And then weird, I've got this coffee pot, and I found out the other day that it doesn't work, even though the pot's cracked and that spills, but the coffee pot doesn't work. The other day, Sheila and I were sitting around, and Sheila said, "Do you want some coffee?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll fix it." And I went to fix the coffee. I put the water in the coffee pot, and I put the coffee in the filter, and I plugged it in, and then 3 hours later, Sheila said, "Well, where's the coffee?" And I said, "That's good. Yeah, we got to do that." Yeah. Okay. Sheila said, "Where's the coffee, Ann?" And I said, "Oh, well, I think, Sheila, the coffee pot's broke." But you know, Sheila, she's an electrical genius. Yeah, she's an electrical mechanic. I am. Electrical magician. Yeah. Extendedly amazing. She put things together. She can fix coffee pots and toasters. I know how to be an electrician. Yeah, but you know, this other day, I came to the store and I wanted to turn on the stereo, you know, in the store, and I pushed the button that says on, and the light came on. There was no sound, and I kind of freaked out, and I said, "Oh, well, I guess it broke." And then Sheila came in, and I think we've been ripped off. Yeah, she said, "I think we've been broken because there are no speakers." And I said, "Wow, Sheila, how'd you figure that out? That's incredible." I just looked in there and they're gone. You know why? I feel like Sheila's a mechanical genius. Yeah, she puts wires together. She's a mechanical genius. Yeah, gets electrocuted. It's amazing. Yeah. And it's a tire. And speaking of cars, yeah, Sheila is learning how to fix her own car because, well, this is a kind of private story, Sheila. I hope you don't mind if I'm telling this. No, go ahead. But Sheila, she has this mechanic, you know, and he's real cute, but he's kind of weird because it's like he wanted to marry her. He's from Holland, and he wanted her to go back to Christmas to Holland. His name was Dutch. Yeah, Dutch. And he sent her roses, and he sent her cards, and he called her, and he said, "Hello, he said, Sheila there." And so she said, "Well, I better learn how to fix my own car." Because Sheila, she's an electrical goddess. I am. She's an electrical goddess. She is a wizard. She can turn on wires together. She knows what colors go together. She knows what two wires are. Use the hair dryer in the bathtub. Oh, it's Sheila? Huh. What's that?
So her background is her mom was from she said Persia, but I guess it would have been Iraq, and then her dad was from Sweden, or of Swedish descent. Her upbringing, I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but it's very wild. I don't know the extent of what she experienced. She grew up in a trailer a little bit outside of Columbia, I believe, and her father, I believe, was an alcoholic, and one night she woke up, he had set the trailer on fire on purpose, and she left. And shortly after that, she ran away from home. She was 14, and she went to Minneapolis because of Bob Dylan, and she ended up meeting all these hippies, and she forged her driver's license to say she was 16 so she wouldn't get arrested. And it was not till like years later that she told me, because I always thought she was, we were same age. No, she was older than me. Yes. And and as you guys know, the Sheila that you met, she could kind of do anything, car mechanic.
Yes. Just had the confidence in herself.
Yes, exactly. And she did a wrestling, comprehensive wrestling encyclopedia before she died. And she dropped out of school, and then she ended up getting her GED, went and taught at Columbia College, and became a medieval scholar. So, yeah.
Right.
So, but
she was just stunningly beautiful.
And funny and smart.
Funny.
So, yeah, we did the first song that we wrote, and I can't remember. I think this is right before, Teri, you started coming over. I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
The maggots and potatoes song?
Which was true.
It was there because there were actual maggots in the potato.
Oh, maggots!
I remember that.
We lived upstairs at the.
I believe I was there at the originating incident.
At the Hinkson house, and there was it was a tiny little kitchen. It was just like a little studio, and underneath is where Sheila kept her sort of like onions and potatoes and whatnot. And I lived on the same floor, but in another bedroom. And yeah, maggots and potatoes. And so we did the punk rock version.
Here's the first song we ever wrote called Maggots in Potatoes.
I remember the maggots. Sheila, remember the maggots that we had in our potatoes?
You mean a couple months ago?
Oh, they were gross.
I can't stand it.
Oh, I remember the black slime. You remember the black slime?
No. What I remember is the white, squirmy.
And the smell when you open the closet and got the cereal out. Oh, it was bad.
It was almost like the frozen chicken livers.
Oh, it was bad. Oh, the maggots. Oh,
maggots.
Maggots and potatoes.
Maggots and potatoes.
Maggots and potatoes.
And the next day at Ernie's played it for many people, including Joe Madison. You remember him?
Yes, I do. The lawyer. Yep.
Yeah, and everybody laughed, and of course that like just fed our encouragement. And then Teri, what I remember about Teri, I don't know why I don't remember the Ragstock thing as much, but I remember vividly the three of us sitting around smoking pot in Sheila's bedroom, recording, and you were playing like a mason jar with beans in it.
Yeah, a jar with beans in it.
Yeah.
For the percussion. But because I already thought I was a musician because I've been doing music with Brian Helton and Kara Tomlinson. So when I was still at Stevens, I had because of Laurie Anderson's album came out.
Right.
And we really loved Oh Superman, and we were like, this is so minimalist. We could do this.
So good.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the thing when right before the maggots and potatoes, like I can't remember the exact thing, but Ragstock, remember the Road Apple? That was where the punk rock shows would be. So Klaus and one of the other guys, I think Tim and Artie, came and put a poster up at Ragstock, and it said Road Apple. We didn't go to that show, but we went to Club Decrepit, which was in the basement of a house, and we saw Causes of Tragedy.
Oh, Jesus.
And they were horrible.
They're really horrible. And we were like, we could do better than this. Come on.
Exactly. And I had this visual of everybody there, including myself, were all dressed in black, and Sheila was there, and she had this, like, forest green jacket, 40s coat on. She was the only color in the entire, and we did this, exactly, said, oh, we can, this is terrible. We can do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Was the Road Apple that kind of metal building out in the outskirts of time? That's where all the queer shit was too. All the dark dances and
there wasn't there a gay bar, different one outside of Columbia? Not that wasn't the Road Apple.
Nothing ever lasted very long.
Oh, okay.
It was like always like there for a year or half a year or something, and just kept changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first show was in the basement of the Chautauqua Center?
That's
I
right.
think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So vivid. That's so vivid. Now, Pam, you had not joined us yet, right?
I had not joined yet.
Yes.
I was there to watch, and I thought
I
thought it was so cool. And then when Teri came over, I at some point I had sung Teri my song, Me and
I
My
was like,
Little
we
Fingers.
have to get her. It's too good.
Must get Pam.
Here's my song written before joining the Art Sluts, Me and My Little Fingers.
Well, you know, Sheila, well, the other day after work, I just walked into this bar, just to get a drink, to relax a little bit, just drink a beer. And I know how you feel about your libido, but I think I got the solution to this problem, because I was sitting at the bar, ordered a draw, and I pulled out a cigarette.
This guy on my right's already got out his light, and I say to myself, oh shit, not again.
Baby, what's your name and how old are you? How long you been in this town, and do you go to school? Do you get high, and would you like to try to get to know me better? I said, okay, baby, so you wanna screw? Well, there's just one thing I wanna ask you. Gonna jump off and lay your weary head down? 'Cause I get better satisfaction when there's no one around. Just me and my little fingers. Me and my little fingers. Well, I fantasize, romanticize, you know that no one satisfies like me and my little fingers.
Yeah, well, I was sitting at home. I answered the phone. It was a pretty nice guy that I know.
He said, tonight's this movie that I really want to see, and I was wondering if you wanted to go. Later that night, after the show, we get in his car. He says, I'll drive you home. We get there and then he says, can I come in? I'd like to know you better. I said, okay, baby, so you wanna screw? Well, there's just one thing I wanna ask you. Gonna jump off and lay your weary head down? 'Cause I get better satisfaction when there's no one around. Just me and my little fingers. Me and my little fingers. Well, I fantasize, romanticize, you know that no one satisfies like me and my little fingers.
And so she's like, Ann and Sheila need to hear this song. And then when they're like, you want to join? I just thought I was the coolest person on the planet because Ann and Sheila and Teri were so cool. And I was not. I didn't see myself
in my eyes. You were like the real musician. It was like, wow, we actually got a real musician.
You didn't have to teach yourself how to play the guitar. You already knew how to play the guitar.
Actually, you know who taught me how to play the guitar? Lee Ruth.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I started my
I love
sisters
Lee
and
Ruth.
my dad had met him at KOPN and had all of us go take lessons. Well, I think me and at least another sister, two more sisters, Angie and Debbie, took lessons from Lee Ruth, who is still around playing.
He is.
Columbia.
Okay, listen, Pam. I swear that Lee Ruth sang this song. I can see your halo.
That's Steve
standing
Werner.
by my window.
That's who?
That's
okay,
Steve Werner.
you have to. I need a copy of that song.
Okay.
It stays in the back of my mind. And when I went to go, I found somebody who, it was Mike McMahon, still talked to Lee Ruth and asked him. He's like, I didn't write that song. I had it in my brain.
He wrote it.
That was a Lee Ruth song because we used to hang out at the Shea, right? When the Art Sluts, I met my husband.
That's right. Larry.
Right? Larry Williams, he was a big slab.
Yes, he was.
Right? And then we had the Teri and Larry show on Wednesday nights at the Shea where we sponsored things. And that's where I remember your sister and her partner at the time, who was what is her name? Anyway, they did performance together. They did dance poetry stuff, right?
Yes.
I missed that.
You know, so Dee Werner was a folk musician in St. Louis who was my mom and dad's best friend. She just died a few years ago, and she performed at a lot of different events over the years. I have a couple of her albums, but
you have that song on an album?
Oh yeah.
I will push or shove you.
I'm surprised
through the
you
doors
remember
I've
that.
opened.
That's remarkable. You've got
my
an amazing
brain remembers it. My brain. But the lyrics are so compelling.
Yes.
It's like, I love you, but I'm not going to shove you or push you, and if you want me, come get me, and
so many of
it's
her
so liberatory.
songs are so unique, and I just
they're autonomous.
Still wish that they had been out there more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she wasn't really out there to promote herself. She was just writing songs and performing.
Well,
them.
I think that's a big part of what, like, we're thinking about. The culture that we were in was a very DIY culture full of musicians and artists. And so it didn't seem odd for us to go, well, we could do that. We just did it.
And it was unselfconscious. It wasn't like, I mean, of course we would joke about becoming famous and all that, but it was to please ourselves and our friends. And it was, I think everybody had that.
Well, also a little bit of my punk teenager, if those boys can do that, I can do it better. I mean, it's definitely, from me, a feminist position of anything you could do, I could do better.
Absolutely.
Let me try. Right? And if you're going to go and have this blah, blah, you're all that, I'm going to do it.
And I was just going to say, Dee was my original inspiration for becoming a musician and writing songs and learning how to play guitar.
That's great. We keep these old guitar player magazines because they come into the store, and they're just fascinating. I mean, they're just so in depth, and then there's funny ads and stuff. But every once in a while, it'll hit me. And they had a center spread in the 1976 magazine, and it had every different genre, country, bluegrass, classical, rock. Not a single female guitar player anywhere on there.
Wow, remarkable.
Just
until next time. We're Art Sluts.
We're
Art Sluts.
Art Sluts.
Okay.
One more time.
All right. Thanks for listening to Art Sluts Radio.
Hey, if you identify with the Art Sluts, explore our herstory at artsluts.net. That's ARTSLUTS.net. And purchase downloads of our music wherever you stream music.
Currently,
all
21
contributions
states have
and
limited
purchases
access
will go
to
to
women's
support
health
Planned
care,
Parenthood,
including abortion, and 15 of those have a total ban.
Talking about your abortion experience, voting and donating to support abortion rights will make a difference.
I hate to leave you, baby. I don't want to have to go. No. It's just my music.